Good evening, I'm Blake Torline, and I'll be discussing the encyclical Laborem Exercens, or Dignity of Work, by John Paul II, written in 1981. This encyclical was written in response to Rerum Novarum, written by Pope Leo XIII. Rerum Novarum discussed the social question of work, that is, how it applied to the characteristic of a man, how work is a human activity. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Pope John Paul's encyclical. Now, in his encyclical, he says in the beginning that man, he is placed in it, earth, in order to subdue earth. Now, this theme is evident from the beginning of Genesis, when God tells man, be fruitful and multiply, and have dominion over the earth. Now, in order to have dominion, man is going to have to do work. Now, work is kind of a general subtopic. The work that man is going to have to do in order to gain dominion over the earth is to initially to sustain themselves, to survive just like animals would do, and then also to advance society. Now, this is a human thing to do because we have a soul and we were created in the image of God. God was a creator, and so man was given that creativity and ingenuity to advance society. Now, I said that man had to work to sustain himself. This sounds similar to how an animal would work to sustain himself. But the Pope says that that is not work. It cannot be counted as work because the animal is not doing it for the purpose of work. The animal just knows in its instincts and in its DNA that it has to do this, this, and this to survive. So the animal is not working, it is just living. Man, on the other hand, has decided that he is going to choose to do this certain activity for a certain reason. Now, the reason does not have to be purely for his survival. And this brings us to the objective and subjective meanings of work. Now, the subjective meaning has more emphasis put on it in this encyclical. The Pope says that human work has an ethical value all of its own. It is because man has a conscious and free subject who decides to do work. This work or this activity doesn't have to be purely for himself. It can be for other people or just anything. It doesn't have to be merely for his survival like an animal would do. So, that is what distinguishes man from other creatures doing work. Now, he goes on to discuss the dignity of the worker. Work provides a worker with the responsibility of his position. He is responsible for doing a certain task and a certain job in his work. Now, whether it be, me, for example, fixing the fence in my backyard, that gives me responsibility over the whole operation. Whereas someone working at Coleman, the Coleman plant, doing a certain thing, like, for an example, we'll say, screwing in a light bulb into a lantern as they go by. Now, this job sounds very simple and remedial, but the person has responsibility over that, and if he does not do that certain task, it throws the whole assembly line off. And this responsibility also sparks creativity in the worker. Man is able to do tasks with his own twists on it, his own personal tweaks to whatever he's doing. And so this naturally brings up the question of technology. Now, the Pope says that technology it can be good in the sense that it increases production. So with technology, you can increase the output of what you're doing. But technology becomes bad when it takes over the workplace, where it replaces the worker, the human worker. Because when it replaces the human worker, it takes out that creativity and responsibility, and thus there's no satisfaction from whoever is now working there. There's no personal satisfaction from the work being done in that particular environment. And so the church, he says that the church has always found it their responsibility to not only defend the rights and dignity of the worker, but to enlighten the employer, for example, on the fact that work is a necessary fiber of the human person. So, in conclusion, the Pope discussed in this encyclical about how work is fundamentally human, how our dominion over the earth it's subject to our work, and how work is purely human. It cannot be done by animals or machines. Those both cannot put the creativity and responsibility into it that man does. Thank you. That is all.